Good afternoon, everybody, and thank Furlough. It's Red Nose Friday. I know we look a bit different to normal, but we thought we'd just join in with the fun. We have to have a bit of fun in life nowadays, and although we've all had a really tough year, there are obviously always other people who have had it even worse. So this is why we're doing a little bit, not a great deal, I have to be honest to say, but we're doing our little bit. And Jackie, good to see you there with your nose. And you're ready? I've lost you, Summer. You're on mute. I know I've been waiting to say that to you for a year, but never mind.
Yeah. I was going to say, I prefer your nose. Mine's a bit dull because I got the robin, but
yeah,
I've got feet that make me look like a moustache under this one. So not, but anyway, it's a nose.
I wasn't going to say anything, and I've got these extra bits on top there, not because I'm showing off, but because it's hold the hair back. Actually,
yeah, I like those.
Yeah, I noticed yesterday you got all sorts of different things, and we got a couple just to have a look at what was. I quite like the fox. I got one that was gold, so I threw it away because I thought, well, that's silly because that's not red. But anyway, never mind.
Oh, it's a special one.
I know. Before anybody starts sending in the messages, I didn't really get a gold one, but I did know I had to go out. I hadn't got anything in Romsey's. I had to go into Southampton last night to Sainsbury's because they had them, and all of the boxes had been opened first. So I presume everybody was looking for a gold one because that's the, as you say, the special one. But you know, look, this is special enough. You know, I've actually got people who look like this permanently because they drink too much. But aside the point, I'm not naming names or anything else.
Well, we were asked to put our selfies up today, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, we've had quite a few up there, and we're going to then tweet them on and see how much extra we can get from there. We've raised a few hundreds of pounds at the moment, I believe. So anybody that wants to give, there is a portal that you can go on to and you can give so that we can bundle it together and send it through.
Well, if anybody wants a real chuckle, if you go on and look at my selfie that I put up, it was the one that we did in 1993, which I think was there because the nose is the tomato, of what my college students put me up for when I was back lecturing in those days. I look an awful lot younger than I do now, but we raised some money for that then, and that was probably the last time I wore a red nose, I have to say.
Right, 1993.
That was a long time ago. And I put some pictures up of the before and after where I had very long hair in those days. And what they actually did was the hairdressing students at the college spent 2 hours back combing my hair out to here and then sprayed it in fluorescent stripes all the way over it. Then we went around and collected money all around the college. So I put a couple of pictures up on the selfies this morning.
Right. I haven't seen
that. I was young and mad.
I need to look at that. I can't imagine that because I think
it's quite a picture.
You've always had relatively short hair.
Yeah, I used to have long hair in those days.
All right. Very short skirts, if I remember rightly, but certainly short hair.
Probably still would.
I remember following you up a staircase once and being very embarrassed. But anyway,
charming.
That was a long time ago.
That was a very long time ago. Yeah.
Oh, so anyway, folks, it is Friday. It's another Friday. It's a sunny Friday here. And those of you who follow Twitter will know that Chrissy Applin was saying this time last year in Southampton, she had snow and her dog loved it. And I've said, well, you can keep the snow as far as I'm concerned. I like the sun. It's far much better. But anyway, so hello, everyone. And Jackie, not that much extra to go this.
No, few bits and pieces came out today. And you're going to have to excuse me. I'm going to have to take this off while I do this because I can't read. It blocks the view of that. So yeah, I've got a few things to just go through today. Nothing that you don't know about really. Couple of notices come out, some on Brexit and some on furlough. The Brexit ones, I think, first of all, the border controls for importation and full customs declarations was due to come into force on the 30th of June. That's now been extended to 31st of December. There's been quite a lot in the news this week about the border controls, the Northern Ireland Protocol and what we're doing as far as Northern Ireland is concerned. So there's quite a lot going on in that. So I don't know whether your clients are involved in that. It's all to do with customs declarations. The SME Brexit Support Fund is open. So again, if you've got clients who are involved in import-export maybe for the first time and want to learn about that, there's some funding for that. There's a grant available for that. Now, some interesting facts and figures. We were talking last week or the week before about the C-bills and the bounce back loans and the amount of fraud and the defaults and what happens if you default. And this week, the Office of Budget Responsibility came out with some figures that they reckon that there's going to be a 40% default on those loans, and that the total it's expected to default is about £27.2 billion of loans that have been taken out, which they think are very unlikely to be paid back. So that's, there was also an announcement about the super deduction for capital allowances. If you're buying capital equipment, you can claim 130% back on your annual investment allowance. But please remember that those allowances are not available if you are a property owner buying new equipment for your property that you've got people renting in, because you can only reclaim, if it's property, you can only reclaim for replacement assets, not for new goods, because that has to be taken into consideration as part of the capital gain when you sell the property at the end. So that super deduction is not available to property owners. Now, one thing that did crop up this week, just to confirm, I was dealing with a member who's had a client who sent the information for the tax return in very, very late. Now, HMRC did extend the late filing to the 28th of February for the 1920 tax returns. And they have started this week issuing the £100 penalty notices for those that weren't submitted by the 28th of February. Now, this morning, an announcement came out to say that if you are an agent and you want to appeal because all of your clients were late and you're doing a bulk appeal, there is a portal opening on the 24th of March, where it's not a portal, it's a form you can download. And you can actually do a bulk appeal for your clients that were late with their submissions because of COVID. The maximum of 25 clients per application. You can have more than one application, but you have to put one form in one envelope, and it has to be done by post. If you're only appealing, or if your clients are appealing for the odd, for an individual one, that can be done online as normal. But bulk applications are there for tax agents, and that starts on the 24th. Now, the one thing based on that, we have a member who, because the client gave her the information for the tax return so late, they could not get it in by the deadline. And what we've had confirmed this week is that if your clients have not submitted a 1920 tax return at all, it completely wipes them out of the SAYS grant. Now, I did say last week that I wasn't sure if that hadn't gone in, whether they would just use the first two, but there was the documentation came out in the guidance. If your clients or you or anybody you know did not put in a 1920 tax return by midnight on the 2nd of March, they will not be able to claim either the 4th or the 5th SAYS grants, because it is being taken on that first. It's based on the 1920 income. And as I understand it, then they will go back 4 years from then, or as many years as possible. So that's that. So that's the only that's all the news I've got for today. So it's been quite a quiet week as far as HMRC are concerned.
I'll put my fox back on then. Oh, good, right. Well, I've got just a couple of things there. You mentioned clients being told that perhaps they shouldn't have had the money. We've had a case this week of one of our members, this week, one of our members whose client has said, you badly advised me and I shouldn't have claimed for something. This is all because obviously HMRC has now said you shouldn't have claimed, but our member did everything right. But the reason I want to mention it is, as part of the looking at this and the process of what had happened and what advice our member gave, we've been sent the email string. And I was absolutely flabbergasted at the amount of information that our members give out very, very authoritatively. And you know, absolutely everything. There was a link into one thing, there was a link into another. There was, you might be eligible for this, but you might also be eligible for this, but I don't think you're eligible for that. And you know, well done, you members. You know, I know you're the best, but even when I know you're the best, sometimes it's worth saying that you do a fantastic job out there. You know, you should be very proud of yourselves. And Yeah, I'm certainly very proud of you. And we're also proud of you for being with us for a long time. And I've just noticed today that Kirsty Singh, who is one of our avid watchers, always with us, she's actually just received her 12th practice license. So 12 years. Well done, Kirsty. Now, I'm sure somebody out there has got one that's older than that still. So please let us know. You know, we're always happy to mention you on the air. And we've had an inquiry from somebody saying, I'm trying to take on somebody who's an AAT qualified person, but they don't seem to have all of the same qualifications that we do at ICB. Now, you are correct. They're qualified bookkeepers, AAT QBs, are qualified basically to sort of trial balance level or something like that. So if you're wanting somebody to do the same level as a fully qualified ICB bookkeeper, either you find one of those, and I know they are like hen's teeth, so it is very difficult. So if you are having to scrape the barrel and look elsewhere, we've just put together it's called a fast track exam. I don't like the word fast track because that makes it sound like a shortcut, and it certainly isn't. But what it is, it's an additional examination that people who want to come in by exemption because they've got their AAT qualification will be made to take. And we've had something called a membership entrance paper in the past, but this is specific to the AAT, to those areas that they haven't covered, because AAT will cover sole traders, but most of them don't cover what we do in, what is it, Jackie, remind me?
It's not-for-profit and limited companies.
Yeah, so it's M6, 7, and 8, isn't it, really? So they have to take that, and then we've done this exam so that we can take it to make sure they've got the same knowledge as our own really good ICB bookkeepers. So they've got to have the whole thing there. We wouldn't want them out there on the streets side by side with you, knowing that they weren't as qualified. So anyway, that's been done. And also, if you've got somebody that is a fully qualified AAT technician, they will also now be required to sit this exam, because it does just check that they know the bookkeeping element. A lot of the qualifications, I'm picking on AAT a bit today, but all of them, all of the others, they do work on the basis you're going to go and work for very large companies, and they don't do the sort of the bedside manner stuff that we have to have as bookkeepers, and they don't do the basic elements. So we're making sure that everybody does that, because that's our forte. That's what we're all about. That's why we exist, and that's why so many clients, more than 14,000 new clients last year, actually turned to ICB bookkeepers. So that's good. I've got a list also of the branch meetings, because again, we are in branch meeting. I'm going to have to take this off because it's blocking my eyesight, I'm afraid. I can't see past the ears. I do apologise. What have I got in here now? On the, where are we? What date is it today? It's the 21st, isn't it, today? Yes. So 24th. Tax changes due to COVID. So that's a webinar that we're doing. That's an online event we're doing. Tyne-and-Wear branch, they've got a meeting on the 24th. Berkshire on the 24th, and Aberdeen on the 29th. So that's going to finish off the month quite nicely. That's all I've got in here at the moment. We have, however, just recently had Worcestershire, Surrey, Oxfordshire, Essex, North Yorkshire, East Sussex, Gloucestershire, Manchester, Warwickshire, a webinar on switching up your payroll practice. Yeah, it's all going, man, it's going really well out there at the moment. It's all very, very busy. So great. And yeah, long may that continue. Jackie, we've got a couple of questions.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions coming. Mehul is asking, by what time are the Business Insight exams available to take? I don't have an up-to-date date for you on that. I don't know whether anybody else knows when they're going to be available, but if not, we'll try and find out for you.
I'll try and find out about that now, because that's an important one.
While you're doing that, Gary, Maggie's asking, did I have a chance to have a look at the question of employees asking for desks and chairs, etc., as of the agreed home office payment? I haven't got an official answer for you, Maggie, because I don't think they state it. What they say is that they you are allowed to buy working from home equipment and claim it back on and have it as a tax-free. But I don't think it specifies what you can do. I mean, things like, you know, a computer and that can be provided for home use tax-free. So I would imagine that that's going to be an agreement between the employer and the employee as to what exactly that covers and what can be claimed. There's anything that to do with working from home can be claimed tax-free. So I think that's something between the employer and the employee to decide exactly what they are going to prepare. There is a difference, of course, between what you're buying for your clients to use at home and will then go back to the office when they return back to the office. So things like computers, laptops, that sort of thing. If they then go back to the office and they remain the property of the business, obviously it's not a benefit. But if you're actually buying things, you can claim them. But even if your employer doesn't pay you the amount, you can still claim that back against your own personal tax account. So every individual, for anything that's spent, if you buy it yourself, you can go and claim the tax back against it, but it's not like getting a full rebate.
£6 a week for your household costs, is that right? It's
£6 a week for the household costs. So that's just literally working from home, use of electricity, that sort of thing, use of the room. But these are extras. And if you claim it yourself, if you go onto your personal tax return and put, there's I can't remember how to do it, but there is a section there where you can go through, you can claim the working from home allowance, and then you can claim for any other, and you can list the things that you're going to claim for and the costs and what you're going to claim for. And what they will do is you don't get a tax rebate as such, you get it taken off of whatever tax code you're using. So if I was to do something and buy something for the office agreement, but I pay for it, then it goes through, I get the tax rebate, but the ICB gets notified of a different tax code, and gradually I'll get it back off my tax. So that's the way that works. Or the employer can pay the employee the amount. The employer can claim the tax relief against their corporation tax, and you do not have to pay tax on it as a benefit in kind. So it depends which way you're going to work. I think you can do it one of two ways.
Yeah.
Helen has asked, Helen has said she caught up with the Technical Tuesday that I did with Verna last week on the tax agents. We were talking about digital links and the inputting of daily gross takings from April, and hopefully HMRC will be doing a series of webinars. Are ICB doing anything more on this topic? Yes, we are going to do another one. I have got to go back to Verna and set up a new Technical Tuesday. So what I would say is, if you have any specific questions on digital links, I have a few that have already put through. We'll put them to Verna and we'll get her on hopefully in a couple of weeks, and we'll set up just purely a question and answer for you to put anything forward to Verna, because she's quite happy to do that. Terry has said he thinks I'm a bit like an encyclopedia. I am that old, Terry. Do they still exist? Maybe it's us oldies that know where they are. Yes, how many here, hands up, who remember the old Encyclopedia Britannicas that went on your shelf? Gary's looking, he's probably still got one somewhere. I don't have any anymore.
Oh, here we are, look.
Oh, yes.
The Modern Children's Library. That's a set of life, and I read through, and it's quite interesting. The things that they were going to happen are just unbelievable, what life was like.
Yes, in those of us of the age to remember the door-to-door salesman for the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now,
I wasn't well enough to get an encyclopedia.
No, we never. No, we got a much cheaper,
weren't they?
Sandra's got a very interesting query up here. Now, this is an interesting one. Husband and wife both work for my client. The client has asked me today if there is a legitimate way that they can pay the husband's holiday pay to the wife. She's just finished maternity leave, so has been on SMP and hasn't used all her tax allowance this year. Which is now the next thing is what I was going to say. I have suggested about the transfer of part of her unused tax allowance to her husband, but I can't think of a legitimate way of paying the husband's holiday pay to the wife. Well, first of all, I would say, yes, I completely agree with you. They need to transfer up to 10% of the wife's tax allowance, personal tax allowance across to the husband. So she's not earning sufficient, so that can be transferred across. But you can't transfer holiday pay because actually you have to take your holiday. Now, at the moment, unless you're not supposed to carry any holiday over at all, it has to be taken in the year. At the moment, yes, because of COVID, we can carry a holiday up for 2 years. And And I know a lot of employers have been agreeing what can be carried over and what must be used up. But the holiday is there for each individual, and it's there so that the employee takes the holiday to give them the break from work that they need. And that's why we have the 4 full weeks. Yeah, they need the holidays. So if you don't take the holiday, you can't just then transfer it across because they haven't taken the holiday simply because we've been on COVID. This is the unfortunate bit. Really, they should be taking their holiday and maybe carrying some over, because otherwise you could have up to 4 weeks to carry over the next 2 years. And that is going to cost the employer an awful lot of money. We've had this chat before. But no, you can't transfer holiday pay across. I've never seen anything that, and I've never seen anything that even allows that. So I think the answer to that one is no. And a couple of people have said, Gary, it's the 19th today. Did
I say it was the 18th? What did I say? Oh, well.
I don't know, but it's the 19th today. Yes, 19th.
All right. Okay.
And Pauline says, oh, yes, I remember.
Her dad used to sell the Encyclopedia Britannicas.
Ah. Oh, no, apparently you said the 21st, Gary. So you're ahead of yourself.
I'm ahead of myself. Yeah, well, you know.
A couple of people remember them.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a look and see what other questions.
Oh.
I have, Paul, hello, Paul, good afternoon. I have the level 3 self-assessment. Would getting the level 4 textbook to upgrade to level 4 self-assessment, though I appreciate we'll have to do the mock exam in readiness for the actual exam. It's probably worthwhile getting the textbook, Paul, because there are quite a few topics in there that you won't have covered on the level 3. So you've got things like capital gains tax. Now, if anybody here has done capital gains, I did, and it's not easy. Although we're not going into it, I would imagine at some phenomenal level, you have to know about capital gains tax. And the foreign income, which is also quite tricky. So I think also with I don't know how many years it is since you took the level 3, Paul, but it's worthwhile probably buying the textbook, which is not hugely expensive off the website, out of our shop. And make sure you're up to date, because it will have all of the relevant legislation and thresholds and things that you need. So probably worthwhile. Yes, and Steph Busby says my dad used to sell them. Okay. I think that's those for now.
I think I might already have mentioned, but Ian Holloway, who was very popular on the Inspire Tour and the conference talking about payroll, we've actually signed him up, and we will be bringing you Ian Holloway, and he will be bringing you all sorts of information, news about payroll, paying people, wages, everything else. We're going to get him to do the first one before the end of the current tax year, so that it's all about all of the changes that will be taking place. So I'm waiting to be told by our marketing people when he's actually going to be talking, but I should imagine it'll either be wages Wednesday next week or the week after. So yeah, look out for that. He was very, very popular with everybody when he was a speaker at conference. And yeah, we looked at how long people listened during all of the presentations, and his presentation had a very long staying mark, if you like, if I can call it that. There is there's a posh word for it, but I can't think what it is. But anyway, so he has staying power, so that's good. So
that should be good. And he is incredibly knowledgeable, far more than. I'm so glad he's coming on to do payroll, because there is a payroll.
We've got a couple of other experts joining us as well shortly.
Yeah, so that's great. It's great.
I often said that bookkeepers are like nurses and accountants are doctors, but in fact I've rejigged that slightly. I've said bookkeepers are the general practitioners and the doctors are the specialists. So you know, we are supposed to know a lot about everything. So we're going to try and give you those specialists to bring in the knowledge.
Having said that, Gary, I've actually had a technical query come in from a member today, which I have still to answer, which is on a very testing legal situation with somebody who is going into a home, and what's going to happen about the tax implications to that person's household and things like that. Because and those are the sort of questions that I certainly can't answer. I'm going to be going back and saying ICB can't give advice on this, because actually, if you think about it, ICB can only give you advice on what is in our syllabus, and we cannot step outside the bounds of our syllabus. And this particular query is something that is way outside what bookkeepers are expected to do. So we probably won't be able to give any advice except maybe to put them on to someone else. But Garry was saying about the advice that you give your clients, you do have to be very careful not to step outside the bounds of your practice license and what you are entitled to do.
Yes, and the other lesson to learn from something that's happened recently with one of our members, and her clients, is that if you are on a fixed term contract, if you are getting a monthly fee, make sure you detail exactly what you can cover for that fee, because this particular member has since qualified for full corporation tax and FRS 105, and the client is saying, well, that's what you do, so that's included within my fee. And we're having quite a sticky time telling him basically no. You know, when the contract was signed, those areas were not covered by this member because she wasn't allowed to under the ICB rules. And the fact that she's now learned to do something else. I mean, I did suggest if she meantime had learned Reiki, he wouldn't expect to have a massage. But anyway, he wasn't impressed. So, you know, we do have to be careful with these things. So don't stray outside your qualification under any circumstances, because then I'm afraid you're on your own, and that's not a nice place to be.
But I also think you have to be,
I
also think you have to be very specific in what you tell the client you're going to do, because there are some terms which can be rather loosely interpreted, and it's very difficult to confine certain terms to where does that stop. So you have got to be very careful. Exactly, if you're producing those monthly management accounts, you've got to be absolutely certain that you are specifying exactly what you are producing and no further. And if sometimes there are some terms you can use which could be interpreted wrongly and would leave you open to a problem at the end. So again, you've got to be very careful. I know we've been looking at the wording on some of the terms of engagement letters. I've been a little bit involved in that. So looking at what you should and shouldn't put in there.
Yeah, and the other thing is that we've had an application for membership recently where the lady wanted a level of membership which she was entitled to. She'd done very well. She sat paper. She then wanted us to add payroll. We said, well, you're not qualified in payroll. She said, oh, yes, I am under my other qualification. So we looked at the qualification. Basically, that was putting the payroll entries into the books of account. Well, that's not doing payroll.
No.
Nowhere near, I'm afraid. So you have to know all of the rules about payroll and everything else. So we said, no, you can't have it. So she's gone off in a huff. But, you know, just because you can spell payroll doesn't mean you can do it. So that's it, basically. So
no, the entering payroll in the accounts is in the level 2 syllabus, because you're given the journal or the printouts and you have to know what's debits and what's credits. But that's part of data entry. It's certainly not calculating payroll.
Not payroll,
no, absolutely not.
No.
Couple of questions here. Mayhul has asked, can we collect CPD points by joining webinars by ICB and others? You can, Mayhul, but they would be
unstructured
rather than structured. Structured is where you're actually going to have some form of fairly formal assessment at the end. So yes, anything you join in, put it down, but it's going to be unstructured.
Doesn't mean it's not worth it, but it just means
that
tested that you actually understood. So I would encourage you to get as much as you can. And I had a query with a lady recently who said, I was thinking of going to a webinar, but it will push me over my CPD. Oh, well, yeah, it doesn't matter. You can take a certain amount, you can roll over a certain amount, but really there's no end to CPD. As long as you do the minimum, I mean, I would get in as much as you can, because things change, things happen, and sometimes there's just a lot more CPD on offer than other times. So, you know, get it and get the learning. The academic side of writing it down and making sure we know about it is there to try and keep your mind focused on taking extra CPD. But actually, you should regard it as just a general part of what you do. You don't turn down new learning because you finished your CPD for the year by any means. It's all about you, and it's all about what you can do.
Faye has come back and said, anyone, this is a useful point, anyone who is filling out the time to pay for VAT, so remember we've spoken about this, entering and paying of the direct debits over up until the next April or next March, you will need some information from a previous VAT return, your VAT registration date, and the bank details ready to take the first instalment. So the bank details, I think I had mentioned, I hadn't mentioned details, the VAT registration date and the previous VAT return. So thank you for that, Faye. And Peter has said, referring to the earlier question, this is in normal times, not COVID. Can an employer make a payment at the end of the year in lieu of outstanding holiday not taken? They used to be able to, Peter, but I think the rules have changed that you can't actually make a payment in lieu at the end of the year. You have to take the holiday. And that's part of the whole legislation around maximum working weeks and the number of hours you can work over a period of time. It's all linked into that. So the answer, I think, is no, you can't pay. But of course, if somebody resigns, you do have to pay them any accrued holiday pay at the end of the contract. But no, I don't think you can do that, Peter. I think that's actually against the rules now. Pauline has said, can anyone point me in the direction of a definitive guide to dealing with company cars? Well, I suppose the definitive guide is gov.uk. You do have the manuals there, the guidance manuals that the tax inspectors themselves use, and there is the general information there on company cars if you're looking. It's fairly long-winded, but I think the definitive guide would have to come from gov.uk. Now, if you look at some of the other websites that are around, what I say the non-official websites because they're not the government websites. There are some extremely useful websites that you can pick up. If you put a search engine, a comment in the search engine, you can come up with all sorts of accountancy firms and legal firms that will put help and guidance up there. But the actual definitive guide, I think, has to come from gov.uk because that's the people that you're making the tax returns to. So I don't know if that helps. Pauline, if you want some links and things, if you email in to member services, then I'll send you out some links because I have got some.
Have you told them about your hub?
My hub? No, my tax agent hub. I don't know whether it's been released yet. I spent last week working on the new tax agent hub. It's under resources on our website. And what I've done is I've tried to take you through the entire process for a completely new practicing bookkeeper on becoming a tax agent. And if anybody's not at all sure, please do go and have a look at it. I would appreciate feedback on it though, because if you think it's still a bit confusing, do let us know and I'll go in and make some amendments. But it takes you through the whole process. And I found that if you go onto the gov.uk and look at this, you have to jump all around the place. And it's very confusing to know at what stage in the process you are. So what I've done is I've written a guide from start to finish, and that's what Werner and I have discussed. And I believe for a new tax agent is the most straightforward way of actually becoming a fully operational tax agent for everything. Okay, so PAYE, if you're doing PAYE, VAT, self-assessment and all those sort of things. And it's to do with the various agent accounts you have to get, how to get an agent's code. And also at various stages, it says, if you are already a tax agent for some things and want to add services on, you can jump in at various points. So hopefully have a look at that and see if it will help. I'd appreciate feedback on it. If you think it's clear, fabulous. If you think it's still confusing, please let me know.
Jackie, I don't answer this one already on the chat line, sorry. From Lee Morris, do others take a retainer fee? Do you know what that's about?
Well, I don't know. Lee, I'm not sure. Do you mean, do other members take a retainer fee from clients? I've never actually got involved in retainer fees. So,
well, I think retainer fee sounds very much like a monthly fee and all the rest of it, doesn't it? I mean, yes, that's what he means. He's just come back, Lee. I mean, you could... to be honest with you, there are so many different ways of charging clients that you have to do what you feel most comfortable with. If a retainer fee is sort of like a minimum charge per month, but you agree that you will agree in advance any extras that you do, that can be called a retainer fee. I mean, I have heard of occasionally of people saying, well, I want £100 a month so that you can ring me up on a Friday night and ask me a question. But I think it just comes in part of the service, and it's probably better put in a different way. But, you know, if you can get somebody to buy it from you and you know how to put it across in such a way that it's a benefit to the client, and more importantly, the client thinks it's a benefit, then you could do that. We did look at doing a future ICB TV event about charging and how to charge and the ways that you're all charging. I didn't get many people coming forward and saying they'd like to come into the discussion, but we are looking at that at the moment to see if we can find a couple of people who will come on. I'm trying to get one to go for hourly, one to go for fixed fee, and you know, we should have that surely. It's obviously it always has been a big area of concern for people. We get a lot of questions about it, but I have to say that, you know, in recent years, you seem to be getting whatever it is you're asking for within reason, and it's not the problem it used to be 23 years ago, 24 years ago, when in the early days of the practice license, people were taking peanuts basically, but doesn't seem to be the case nowadays. I was speaking to somebody the other day who now has decided not to do the bookkeeping. She's employed one of our members to do the bookkeeping side. She now regards herself as giving advice and guidance, and you know, she's up to I think a little short of £50 an hour. I know one of our members was claiming recently to be charging £65 an hour. I know for some of you that might sound like quite a lot of money. But I think I also stated that I had a man around here when we moved into this house who was jet washing the pavement, the path for me. And I don't think, you know, I think he knew where Romsey was, but I don't think he could spell it, to be absolutely fair. And, you know, he was on £35 an hour. So, yeah, anyway, never mind. So, yeah, you deserve what you're worth, folks, and you're worth a lot.
I am aware also that there are areas of the country where you're not going to get anywhere much like that. I know if you happen to be in some of them slightly sort of less well-off areas, maybe it's going to cause a problem. I know certainly in some areas there are. But
the north-south divide is not as, it doesn't seem to be quite as severe as it was in those early days, because I remember that, you know, the attitude in the branch meetings was so different as we moved north and what have you. And I remember one year we did the Inspire tour, and we started in the south and ended in the north. And we decided we were going to turn it round and start in the north and move to the south, because the north had a lot more problem and they wanted more guidance and really more pushing. But that disappeared when we did the last physical Inspire tour. And I remember being up in Aberdeen, wasn't it? And yeah, I mean, they were so pleased about the way businesses were going, and I think it probably helped that it was a beautiful sunny day. But anyway,
Faye has just put up, just donated to Red Nose Day. Thank you for that, Faye. And also, Faye said Fluidity have just did Masked Accountant, hilarious, but also some very good discussions. So well done, Fluidity, on that one. And thank you for donating. Pauline has come back on the holiday pay regarding taking untaken holidays at the end of the year. One of my clients has employees on 0 hours contracts. So holidays is calculated on hours worked, and some employees will still have accrued hours at the end of the year. That year, I think, is a rolling year. And I think for 0 hours contracts, it's going to be slightly different. But I still think you need to try to get them to take the holiday within a short period of time. I think because it's sort of the year rolls, that might be a slightly more complicated one, but it's not like those that have a fixed holiday from 1st of January or from the 1st of April or whenever that is, and you need to sort that out. But have a look at that one. Okay.
Something up. I've been approached by a potential client in the East Peckham area of Kent, but he wants something above my qualification. I advised him to find an ICB bookkeeper local to him. She sent a link to the directory, but if anybody is interested, could you please email her? And she's put the email up there. I'm sure because you put it up there, you don't mind me saying it's Steph, STEPH, at businessbookkeepingservices.co.uk. Is that right? I thought it was
Business, BUSYS.
All right, I hadn't realised it was Busby. Never mind.
But yeah. Actually, there are quite a few members in that area, so I'm sure there's somebody there that will be most grateful for that. I know the area quite well, and I know we have members in that area, or certainly within fairly easy transport.
Could you please provide the link to the tax agent hub? We'll check on that to see if it is open. It might be that we're still going through the technical side of it.
Yeah, I have asked them to check all my links and things. But if you go onto the ICB website, bookkeepers.org.uk, and you click on the resources tab, it should be one of the main tabs that come up. There's the Brexit, the COVID, and hopefully the tax agents. But I know, as Garry said, I know they are checking. There's an awful lot of links in there for some poor soul to check. So Naomi said, thank you, Jackie and Verna. HMRC Central do make things seem complicated, so well done on producing the simple guide to agent services. It's what we need. Well, that's what because I mean, I have been round that loop so many times on gov.uk. We were trying to set up, and when this whole thing started up, the new agent services account, I was trying to set up a full account with somebody, and we got into all sorts of difficulties with it. And dear Verna had to actually get us out of that. Oh, so someone has just seen my red nose on Twitter. Yeah, it was a good hairstyle, wasn't it? Those of you who are listening at the start will know what I mean. Thanks, Kirsty.
I don't think you mentioned that in your CV when you joined us, that photograph. I mean, we might have changed our mind. We could have gone a completely different direction. Never mind.
Yeah, I know. You just, you know, but it was all for a good cause. So, and I was a lot younger in those days.
It has been corrected. It is Steph at Busby Books. Well, I see. Well, there we are. You see, how about that? Well done, Steph. Great. That's fine. We all make these things.
Busby Books. Yes, called Steph at Busby Books.
Right. With payroll, pensions, etc., a retainer may be appropriate as you may be in and out of pensions portals, especially with furlough. So, yeah, it sounds great.
That's a thought. Yeah. And Catherine's asked, with the VAT deferral scheme, payments deferred from last year, do businesses have to opt in by the 31st of March or the 21st of June? If it's 21st of June and they take no action, will they be chased by HMRC for non-payment? Well, it's a difficult one, that one, because I think if you haven't signed up by the 21st of June, I think what will happen is that's when they'll start screaming at you for the whole amount. So that they're opening the portal. I've got a funny feeling the 24th of March rings a bell, but I know I put the date up last week. You can sign up to 11 installments, but if you sign up in June, I think you have 8 installments left. June, July, August, September, October, yeah, 8 installments. But if you haven't signed up by the 21st of June, that's when I think they're going to start hitting you for the full amount, because they can't do it before because they've allowed you to sign up until June. So I think it's highly unlikely. However, I wouldn't take that for your clients saying, don't bother to sign up because you can pay the whole thing, but you don't need to pay it till the 21st of June, because I think you might start to get some penalties and interest as well if you don't do that. So you need to be careful.
Steph, can I say you've changed that? Obviously, it is Busby Bookkeeping Services.co.uk, but the problem is if people are going to come through you won't necessarily know that these people are as qualified as they say they are. They should really come through the standard find a bookkeeper, because before an advertisement is put up, we will restrict it to people who can actually carry out that particular function. We don't want you advising a bookkeeper, giving a bookkeeper to this particular potential client, and then them turning around and saying, well, you told me you weren't qualified, but you also gave me another person who wasn't qualified. And I've noticed from some of the forum posts that people do think or do claim to be slightly better qualified than they are. And we could follow that one up, but obviously we can't follow this one up if we don't know about it.
And Kevin's come back. Thank you for this, Kevin. Kevin has come back and given me the answer on the 0 hours contract for accrued holiday. So thank you, Kevin, for that. I know you're very knowledgeable. You're far more knowledgeable on payroll than I am, I know. For 0 hours, the holiday entitlement year is either the fixed year the company uses or based on the start date of the contract. Entitlement is also based on time in employment and not on hours worked for 0 hours. They're entitled to the full 5.6 weeks per year. So yeah, the year, there is a fixed year. It's either the year that the company chooses or the year from the start of the contract. So thank you for that, Kevin. Hopefully that's answered the previous question. Great. Okay, I think
that's about the end of the questions.
that's
I think
the end
it's
of the
about all
questions,
I've got to
unless
say.
anyone's got any more. So thank you for those.
I'm going to go off and scratch my nose because I'm itching.
Yeah, I ought to put mine back on, really.
So don't forget,
They're
folks.
not uncomfortable, these. They're not like the old ones.
They're okay. They don't smell of plastic, which is something.
No, that's true.
Pinch, you know,
That's
this
true.
other. But anyway, if you do feel generous or inclined to make a donation, please go onto the portal and put some in. ICB will be matching that from our funds here. ICB does do little bits of charity. We're obviously a non-partisan organisation, really. We're non-political and all the rest of it. So we don't push too hard with the charitable giving, because that's entirely up to you. I was remembering, I was talking to somebody about it recently, when we went once to feed some homeless people. So the staff got together, and we between us bought some food, we went and cooked it. And I remember that Julius Tafora, who is our financial director, was standing there telling everybody what to do. Meanwhile, Jackie swept in, did it all, and we ended up feeding them while Julius was still deciding how best to switch on the cooker and who should be doing it. But anyway.
I remember that well.
Yeah. It was very strange, because there was quite a lot of homeless people there, but I think they were sort of transition homeless, really.
They were, and they were in halfway houses.
Yeah, that was it. So they were on their mobile phones and various other things during.
I think we cooked something like 6 huge pans of chili that night.
Chili.
It was chili. We did chili and rice, and we did a meat chili and a vegetable or fish type chili, and then we did a vegan one as well. So yeah, 3 types of chili. And from someone who's never cooked chili before, because I don't like chili that much, it was good fun. It was and all the staff came, and a lot of us were out in the back kitchen, which is where I was, and a lot of them were out there actually sitting down and playing games and eating meals and chatting to them, and that was a great time. That was a great evening. But
Julius, I will never forget that, and it was quite interesting. So Julius is the man that actually runs the organisation behind the institute. He makes sure everything works. So it worries me a bit sometimes, but never mind. He's been with us for a long time, Julius, and he's one of our most committed ICB people. So he's really, really good.
ICB, we've just put up the link to our Just Giving page for the Red Nose Appeal if you'd like to donate. And I think also we need to see your selfies, because I think we're possibly doing something with your selfies. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're going to put them out onto the social media and get some coverage. I don't think we quite get them up on here. We are looking at a slightly different format for ICB TV at the moment, but we're taking some quotes from various technicians to help us with that, just to make it a little different, because we've been doing this for over 12 months now. I think it was this Wednesday just past, was the date 12 months ago that we suddenly upped sticks and moved out of the office. And I think we've been out for quite some time before anybody realised. So I'm really proud of that. That was fantastic. So yeah, it's been a long time, and we're still negotiating with our landlords about whether or not we want to stay in the office, what we're going to do, because we've got people all the way around the country. And actually, you can pick up some very, very useful people, and they're just not able to get into the London office. So why would we avoid keeping them out there? It's very interesting. So watch this space. We will always have a presence in London of some sort, but who knows? We will see what happens.
One last one coming up here. I think it's Pauline. Pauline has come up and said, "Hi Kevin, thanks for that. The company uses a fixed holiday, even more confused now. Lol." If you want to pop an email in about that one, we'll try and get a formal answer for you out on that one, on the 0 hours contracts for holidays. I do have a link somewhere, but I'll get something out to you.
And it's perhaps something that you can put to Ian Holloway.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I was hoping that by the time we'd come off there, somebody might send me a message to say when that's going to happen, but they haven't done yet. So it may be that they are still waiting for Ian to put his presentation together, because I think Wednesday, possibly Thursday yesterday, we agreed with him how it was all going to work, and we're really excited about that. So
that should be good. That'd be good. Some good sessions there. He's very good.
Yeah. Okay. 7-9. Sorry, I was just thinking that might be somebody answering my query, but it's Wayfair telling me that the summer houses are now on sale. And if I buy one now, I can get one in 25 to 30 weeks.
My greenhouse, No, I'm about to order a greenhouse. I want a lean-to greenhouse on this, and that's 30 weeks for the one I want. I rang the company just to check that I haven't. So that's October. If I order it this week, it'll be here by October. So
well, it'll be good for the Christmas greens.
Well, I need it for next. I don't need it till next winter, so it's not a problem for me. But you need your summer house before the autumn.
I know. I just happen to look at them. I'm not thinking of buying them. You know what it's like. Once you've been on there, you never get off. You know.
No, I know.
I get all sorts of things here. Never mind.
I mean, it always amazes me that I can sit at my computer and I can put a search in, and then when Leslie opens up the laptop, all my searches seem to come up on his laptop. I know it's the IP addresses and all sorts of things, but completely separate laptop, completely different email addresses, but it seems to attract. Yeah. So I have to be careful what I do a search for.
Yeah, I know exactly. Steve here says we ordered our hot tub in November in the Black Friday sale. It arrived on Tuesday. Planned to enjoy a cheeky dip over Christmas, but that didn't happen. Never mind. There's always a cheeky dip over Easter.
We were talking about electric company cars last week, and I said my son has got one on order, and I think he's been waiting about 5.5 months for his electric car, which apparently, well, it has arrived this morning because he sent me a picture of it. So he's got a very nice electric car, which will save him an awful lot of money driving through London every day, which he has to do.
I'm still worried about all this electricity. Everything's going into electricity. I'm hoping they're not going to come around a bit like they did with the diesel cars and say, actually, we're very sorry after all this. It's coughing out all sorts of rubbish into the atmosphere as we're creating the electric. So, and I noticed, where was it? Texas, I think, that has tried to get away from oil, which Texas has been based on for many, many years, and got into turbines. And when they had the snow, the turbines froze and nobody had any heating.
Yeah.
Whatever it's a bit like everything else, I think, isn't it? You know, you give it with one hand and you take it away with the other, or whatever you do, it always has an ongoing knock-on effect for something else. So
I'm always, the only thing that concerns me about electric cars is if you do go out, you know, charging it, making sure it's fairly easy to go in and get petrol or diesel. But it's not quite so quick and easy, I don't think, if you're running out of charge. And I don't know.
No, don't just worry. Having run out of phone power so many times.
Yeah.
Well, never mind.
Right.
We have to do a program on that sort of thing at some stage. You know, anybody.
Well, Steve, you and your hot tub. It's not very warm here, so wherever you are, I'm sure you can go and get it set up and still go and use it because it's still cold in the evening. So I think you should still.
Wigan, says Steve. Wigan, right. The reminds me of my old casino days, which is not a gambling place. But anyway, never mind. Just so you don't know, that was the northern powerhouse, the Wigan Casino. That's where everybody went dancing. Kerry Brenner.
This is the holiday. In the company I work for, the holiday year is set, and employees on 0 hours contracts accrue holidays each hour they work. Currently, at the end of the holiday year, they are paid for any unused hours if they ask. Otherwise, they lose them. Not quite sure what the correct way of this is, to be honest. Holidays can be a bit. Oh, Kevin says, I have some stuff I can send over, including the backup. That would be actually great, Kevin, if you could let me have that. Then I'll get that up and we'll get that passed out. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I think about it, if you don't take your holidays, you lose them. That is certainly something which was brought up at the beginning of furlough, because people were saying, well, if I'm furloughed and I'm at home anyway, I don't want to take my holidays. Can I hold them over? And I remember all those calls at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think everybody agrees it's a bit of a pain, so we'll get some cover on that. Okay, Jackie. Well, I trust you're going to have a good weekend. And,
yes, hopefully in the garden again this weekend. Catching up, lots of seeds to plant, it's not warm enough to put anything out in the garden yet, but that's why I need my greenhouse, because all the windowsills are beginning to fill up with seed pots at the moment. I've got tomatoes and chilies and all sorts of things coming up at the moment, so I'm waiting to do the next lot. So
a couple of gardens that you have converted from 0 to resplendent. So yes,
this one was actually just grass, and so it's had a lot of work done in 3 years. So we've done a lot of work on this one. Yeah.
Right. So thank you everybody for tuning in yet again. and whatever date it is, we're always pleased to see you. And have a lovely weekend. Have a great week ahead. Look forward to seeing you next week. There is a Mike on Monday coming up, but Mike is handing over to Steve, I believe, on Monday. And then I think the Mike on Mondays might become a monthly event, because I think he's running out of stuff to tell you. So all of the old stuff that he's done is available still on in the library, so you can get hold of that. But he'll be coming back on once a month talking about various things, that changes that are taking place, etc. But whenever he's got anything else to say, we'll just put him straight back on again. So yeah, things are changing a bit. We'll be in touch.
Can I just remind people, any questions at all to do with tax agents, making tax digital, if you send them in to us and ask them to be forwarded to me, I'll set up a date with Werner and we can go through them all for you. Hopefully, I'm thinking possibly Tuesday week next Tuesday, I'm not sure, but we'll see. That might be a good time to do one. I'll see if she's free.
Right. Okay. So bye, everybody.
Lovely.
Have a lovely time. And thank you for being with us. See you soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye.